Hello everyone, you're now watching Midnight Report Special สำหรับรายการ Midnight Report Special ในช่วงนี้นะคะต้องบอกเลยว่าเป็นช่วงพิเศษค่ะเพราะว่ารายการของเราได้รับโอกาสให้ไปสัมภาษณ์ท่านเอกอัครราชทูตของอินเดียประจำประเทศไทยนะคะก็คือ His Excellency Mr. Harsh Vardhan Shringla ค่ะซึ่งก็ต้องบอกว่าได้รับประโยชน์แล้วก็ความรู้มากมายเกี่ยวกับการลงทุนในอินเดียเลยค่ะ
ครับเพราะว่าคนไทยหลายคนในช่วงนี้นะครับก็สนใจที่ไปลงทุนมากมายเลยครับโดยเราก็จะไปพูดถึงโอกาสการทำธุรกิจครับในประเทศอินเดียที่หลายท่านนะครับอาจจะคาดไม่ถึงเลยครับรวมไปถึงเราจะพูดถึงการศึกษาต่อในประเทศอินเดียที่มีราคาไม่แพงมากด้วยใช่ไหมครับ
แล้วก็มีจุดแข็งก็คือภาษาอังกฤษที่ต้องบอกว่าเป๊ะทีเดียว
ใช่ครับเรียกว่าน่าสนใจมากๆเลยนะครับเดี๋ยวเราไปดูกันเลยครับ
สวัสดีค่ะคุณผู้ชมยินดีต้อนรับเข้าสู่รายการ Midnight Report Special วันนี้นะคะเราได้รับเกียรติจากแขกคนพิเศษค่ะท่านเป็นเอกอัครราชทูตของประเทศอินเดียประจำประเทศไทยนะคะเราจะมาขอความรู้จากท่านเรื่องเกี่ยวกับอินเดียแล้วก็ความร่วมมือระหว่างอาเซียนกับอินเดียกันค่ะท่านคือ His Excellency Mr. Harsh Vardhan Shringla. It's an honorable opportunity to have an interview with you today, sir.
Thank you. ขอบคุณครับ
ขอบคุณมากค่ะ So the first question for the show would be we hear in news stories we hear a lot about the cooperation between the upcoming AEC with the giant like China, whereas India is one of the major market with a lot of potential and purchasing power, and the second to China only in terms of populations. Why is it that we don't hear very often about the cooperation between AEC and India as much as we do with China, sir?
Well, India is one of the largest economies in the world. In terms of purchasing power parity, it should be the third or fourth largest economy in the world. And its GDP, even in actual terms, is almost at $2 trillion.
2 trillion, yeah. That's big.
Now, if you look at it from that perspective, the potentials are enormous. India is a summit partner of ASEAN. India is a dialogue partner of ASEAN. And is a very, very important trade and investment partner of ASEAN. We have till today $80 billion of bilateral trade between ASEAN and India.
Right.
We have a target of reaching $100 billion by 2015. And by 2020, we hope to achieve $20 billion. I mean, in the sense of $200 billion.
Sure.
So from that perspective, if you see it, the growth trajectory is going to be significant. Obviously, the AEC is an important landmark for us. It fits into our Look East policy.
Look East policy?
Yes, we have a policy which is Look East. Thailand has a Look West policy.
West, yes.
So there is a symmetry there and a synergy, and I think that is something that we can both work together to exploit. But again, I think for the ASEAN, India is and will continue to be an important interlocutor and an important partner, not only in terms of trade but also investments and people-to-people contacts.
Right, sir. And in terms of, a lot of people here, we hear a lot about India, but we don't fully comprehend about the market of India or what it's made of. Are there any inequality gap in between, within the country? Well, to be specific, what are the things that businessmen here should focus on if they were to invest in India?
As you can imagine, a country of 1.2 billion people offers a huge market.
Right.
We have a new government in place in India. There is a great sense of optimism in the way the economy will shape up under the new government. There is every expectation that there will be huge investments in the infrastructure sector.
Right.
Infrastructure development will require over $1 trillion of investments. We are already working with Thai companies to encourage them to invest in this sector in India. And I think that offer really holds for the rest of ASEAN.
Right.
But we've seen a great deal of interest in Thailand in making new investments in India. Not only in the infrastructure sector, but in the consumer market.
Consumer market,
yes,
that's
whether
interesting.
It is production of seafood, whether it's export of orchids, whether it's export of fruits, whether it is export of finished products, there is a great deal of interest in the Indian market. So I think ASEAN as a whole has a lot to gain from India, and as India has to gain from ASEAN, and as I just conveyed in the seminar on India-Thailand relations at the Indian Studies Center, Thammasat University.
Right.
It is very important that both India and ASEAN look at each other in a win-win situation. That means there are synergies that can be exploited, that can be for the benefit of both the ASEAN and India. And needless to say, from my perspective, Thailand for us is a very important partner and interlocutor within the ASEAN.
Right.
Not only because we are geographically close to each other, but also because we have centuries of shared history, shared civilizational, cultural, spiritual linkages. That I think, make it possible for both of us to work more closely within the regional and international context.
Right, sure. Well, so far, I've heard that India and ASEAN has been in cooperation for at least the past 2 decades. But for the past few years, it looks like India has been putting more and more focus economically in involving with ASEAN. What has been the barriers for India and ASEAN to cooperate at the sooner stage?
Well, the economic partnership is a very important one, and I think it's not just India, as both sides have focused on developing the economic relationship. And as I said, our trade is already at $80 billion.
Right, sir.
Within a short time of a year, it should go to $100 billion. So I think there is no barrier, you can say. I mean, there could be some minor obstacles to trade, but those are surmountable.
Right.
But the potentials are huge. With Thailand itself, we are close to $10 billion, but we believe that trade can increase by 3 to 4 times if we have the right conditions, including a free trade agreement. So both a free trade agreement with ASEAN and a free trade agreement with Thailand, which will be ASEAN plus.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, in the sense that, if we have a free trade agreement between Thailand and India, it would be more than what we would have with ASEAN, the rest of ASEAN. And from that perspective, I think the potentials are there and have to be exploited by both our sides.
Thus, that you mentioned about the free trade agreement between Thailand and India. Do you expect that to finish by the end of 2015, as when the AEC will start officially?
We are confident that we can conclude this because we have more or less negotiated bulk of this agreement.
Right.
We only need the correct political circumstances to be able to sign this agreement. And we hope that both in India and in Thailand, we can have the opportunity to conclude this at the earliest possible.
Sir, you mentioned that the exporting sectors of Thailand could really grow in the market of India. Are there any other sectors in Thailand that would have a bright future if they were to go and invest in India? Does it have anything to do with service sector or?
Yes, services is one of the areas that we intend to bring under the free trade agreement. If services is included, then Thai companies in the service sector, and I know that many companies have approached us in the embassy to look at what are the potentials in the IT service sector,
right,
in many of the service areas within India that they can go and work on. So I think there is a situation where both sides can gain a great deal from this, and I think there is as I said, the potential for both sides to cooperate in the service sector. The markets are not of the same size. India is a market, as I said, of $2 trillion. It is a population of 1.2 billion. Thailand certainly can use that synergy to leverage its goods, its services within India and greatly expand and realize the full potentials of its Look West policy.
Right, sure. What about the similarity between Thailand and India? After speaking with Director Adun, I heard that there are a lot of words and in Thailand, in Thai and in India that are really, really similar, more than a lot of people have noticed. Will this similarity help with prospering the future development and cooperation between the two nations?
Well, the similarities are there over millennia, not centuries, but millennia.
Right.
And I just had the opportunity to pay my respects to the most venerable Arya Wongso. And he was telling me that he says India is the font of spirituality.
Right.
All our great spiritual leaders have been born in India. And India will always be a cradle of civilization and spirituality. And in that sense, I think we have had so many exchanges in civilizational terms, cultural terms, spiritual terms. And that potential and that realization has to be there even in contemporary times. And I think that is what we are trying to do by the development of people-to-people relations. Encourage people in both countries to know each other better. And that's where centers like the Indian Studies Center and Thammasat University play a major role, because these are people who are developing an expertise, resource potential for India-Thailand relations. And anyone who wants to know more on how to develop those relations, I'm talking about companies, governments, etc., will go to them and we'll say, please advise us, please guide us.
Right.
So I think there is the need to create a greater awareness. But at the same time, the basis for that very close relationship already exists between our two countries.
Yeah. We'll take a short break, but when we come back, we would ask His Excellency more about the lighter topic like the marriage from India couples, wealthy couple in Thailand, and other trends that you don't know. ค่ะซึ่งจากการพูดคุยกับท่านเอกอัครราชทูตอินเดียประจำประเทศไทยนะคะก็ต้องบอกเลยว่าเราได้รับความรู้มากมายเลยค่ะไม่ว่าจะเป็นเรื่องราวเกี่ยวกับตลาดของอินเดียนะคะที่ตอนนี้ต้องบอกว่าน่าจับตามองมากๆเพราะว่ามีประชากรมีกำลังซื้อมากๆเลยค่ะเพราะว่ามีประชากรพันล้านคนเลยนะคะแล้วก็คนระดับกลางที่มีกำลังซื้อค่อนข้างที่จะเยอะนี่ก็คือมีครึ่งหนึ่งเลยค่ะคุณแบงค์500 กว่าล้านคนเลยทีเดียวต้องบอกว่าคนไทยได้ยังสามารถที่จะหาโอกาสไปลงทุนในอินเดียได้มากมายเลยค่ะ
ครับประมาณการค้าระหว่างอาเซียนกับอินเดียเนี่ยก็มีสูงถึง 80,000 ล้านดอลลาร์สหรัฐเลยใช่ไหมครับ
ใช่แล้วค่ะนอกจากนี้นะคะที่สถานทูตอินเดียเนี่ยก็ยังมีศูนย์อำนวยความสะดวกค่ะก็คือมีการให้คำปรึกษานักลงทุนไทยที่สนใจจะไปลงทุนในอินเดียด้วยค่ะ
นับว่าเป็นช่องทางที่นักลงทุนไทยสามารถเข้าไปหาประเทศอินเดียได้เลยทีเดียวนะครับเดี๋ยวเราพักกันสักครู่ครับแล้วกลับมากับช่วงหน้าเราจะมาพูดคุยกันต่อครับ